A recent U.S. Geological Survey has discovered technically 28.3 trillion cubic feet of gas, as well as 1.6 billion barrels of oil right here in the basin.
What if I told you the most dangerous thing your car faces isn't wear and tear, bad engineering, or the miles on the odometer, but the gas you just pumped without a second thought? On one stretch of highway in southeast Georgia, 23 cars broke down within minutes of filling up. Engines shook violently, warning lights never had time to come on, and then everything went silent. Every driver thought they were buying ordinary fuel. None of them knew they were poisoning their engines, and that's the part no one talks about, because this isn't a freak incident. It's a quiet, nationwide pattern hiding in plain sight, and it starts at the gas pump. Poison at the pump. Let me start by destroying a myth that the oil industry has spent billions to protect.
Rapidly rebuild Venezuela's dilapidated oil industry and bring millions of barrels of oil production to benefit the United States.
The myth that gas is just gas, that every pump dispenses the same liquid. The only difference is the price on the sign. This could not be further from the truth, and understanding why is the key to everything. Here is what actually happens. Gasoline coming down the pipeline is basically identical. It is a commodity, like wheat or copper. Every company is pulling from the same source. But the moment that fuel hits the distribution terminal, everything changes. This is where companies add their additive packages. This is where they decide whether your engine lives or dies. And this is where the deception begins. Modern engines are not the bulletproof V8s your grandfather drove. Those old motors could run on practically anything. They were simple, forgiving, almost indestructible. But today's engines use something called gasoline direct injection, or GDI. In the old days, fuel sprayed over the intake valves before entering the combustion chamber. Every time you drove, those valves got washed clean. It was elegant. It was self-maintaining. GDI changed everything. Now fuel shoots directly into the cylinder, bypassing the valves completely. Those valves never get cleaned. They just sit there, day after day, collecting carbon, soot, and oil vapors from the emission system. Over time, they get coated in a rock-hard substance that chokes airflow like cement filling a straw. The only thing standing between your engine and this slow suffocation is the detergent package in your fuel, specifically a chemical called polyisobutylamine, or PIBA. This is the cleaning agent that scrubs those deposits away. Without enough of it, your engine is doomed. Now here is where it gets infuriating. The EPA sets a minimum standard for detergent levels in gasoline.
EPA Administrator Michael Regan about the new efforts to fight climate change.
Sounds reassuring, right? Government oversight protecting consumers. Except that standard was established in the 1990s. It was designed for engines that no longer exist. It is laughably inadequate for modern high-pressure systems. The major automakers know this. BMW, GM, Toyota, Honda, they all looked at the EPA minimum and realized it was a joke. So they created their own standard called Top Tier. Top-tier fuel contains 2.5 times the...
Many stations sell what's known as top-tier gasoline. It has additives that exceed what's required by the Environmental Protection Agency.
Cleaning power of the legal minimum. It is what your engine actually needs. But the catch, adding those extra detergents costs money. And when you are a budget gas station fighting for every penny of margin, guess what gets cut first? The chemicals that protect your engine. So when you pull into a station that is not top-tier certified, you are gambling with your car's lifespan to save maybe $3 on a fill-up. You are choosing short-term savings over long-term survival, and the industry is counting on you to make that choice. Some mechanics believe this is not an accident. They think the proliferation of low-quality fuel is a feature, not a bug. Consider economics. If cars lasted 500,000 miles like they used to, new vehicle sales would collapse. Dealerships would close. Service departments would go bankrupt. But if engines start failing right around the time the warranty expires, Suddenly, everyone needs repairs. Everyone needs replacements. The conspiracy theory is simple. Low-quality fuel creates low-quality engines and creates high-quality profits for everyone except you. The mechanic's blacklist. Take you through the gas stations that mechanics see over and over again when engines come in destroyed. These are the brands that show up in the horror stories. The names attached to the repair bills that make grown adults cry. Starting at number 10, Safeway. You see the rewards points. You see the discount per gallon. You think you are being smart, but Safeway is in the grocery business, not the fuel business. Gas is just a way to get you into the store to buy milk. Because of this, they source their fuel from whoever offers the lowest price on the spot market. Independent testing has repeatedly shown their detergent levels scraping the absolute bottom of what is legally allowed. I had a customer with a 2018 Honda Civic, one of the most reliable cars ever made, come in at 85,000 miles with misfires so bad the engine was barely running. Her intake valves were caked with carbon so thick I had to physically chisel it off. She saved maybe $50 over the life of the car by using Safeway gas. She handed me $2,000 to fix the damage. Number 9 is 7-Eleven, and the problem here is consistency. You would expect a global brand to have standards, but 7-Eleven operates on a franchise model. They do not refine their own fuel. Each station buys whatever is cheap and available in their region. One location might have acceptable gas while another 3 miles away pumps absolute garbage. But the bigger issue is tank maintenance. Many 7-Eleven stations are older facilities bought from defunct brands. Their underground tanks crack and seep. Groundwater infiltrates. I had a Toyota Camry come in on a flatbed last week. The owner filled up at 7-Eleven, drove 10 miles, and every warning light on the dashboard illuminated simultaneously. We tested the fuel in his tank. It was 18% ethanol. The pump said 10. That extra ethanol attracted moisture like a magnet, and his fuel lines were corroding from the inside out. Number 8 is Sam's Club, and this is where I see the most physically dirty fuel. Sam's moves are massive, which sounds good in theory. Fresh gas, quick turnover.
Most savvy consumers know warehouse clubs like Costco and Sam's Club have cheaper fuel. But is there any difference between the two? Let's verify.
But when you pump that much fuel, the filters get hammered. If they are not changed constantly, they fail. I worked on a Ford Explorer with only 42,000 miles that ran like it had 150,000. It would not idle. It stalled at every red light. When we pulled the fuel filter, it looked like it was packed with coffee grounds. Pure sediment from the bottom of the storage tank, stirred up by high volume and pushed directly into the engine. Number 7 is Circle K, and they are notorious for buying distressed fuel loads to save money. We see engines gummed up with varnish, a sticky yellow residue that forms when fuel sits too long or is improperly stabilized. But the real nightmare with Circle K is water separation. In 2020, multiple stations in the South were caught selling phase-separated fuel, where the ethanol absorbs so much moisture that it separates from the gasoline and sinks to the bottom of the tank. Since the pump draws from the bottom, customers were getting straight water and alcohol instead of fuel. A Chevy Tahoe came in on a flatbed after one fill-up. The fuel pump was destroyed. The injectors were rusted shut. The total bill was $3,400 from a single tank of gas. Number 6 is Murphy USA, the stations in Walmart parking lots. Their entire business model is having the lowest price on the sign, whatever the cost. To achieve this, they cut corners on additive packages. In 2018, stations in Texas and Louisiana were investigated after dozens of cars stalled immediately after leaving the pumps. The issue was inconsistent ethanol blending. Modern cars can handle 10% ethanol, but when quality control fails and you get 15 or 20% in a vehicle not designed for it, the computer panics. Fuel trims go haywire. The engine runs lean. You risk burning valves. I saw a 2017 Silverado with carbon scoring on the cylinder walls at only 68,000 miles. The owner saved pennies per gallon and ended up needing a partial engine rebuild. Number 5 is Speedway. Great marketing, bright lights, catchy branding. But underneath, they rely on mixed sourcing with no proprietary refinery.
Also here for Speedway is warning drivers who filled up at 4 of its Miami Valley gas stations that the gas they purchased.
The result is wild inconsistency. One week you get fuel with decent detergents. The next week, it is bare minimum. Your car's computer constantly adjusts timing and mixture to compensate, which causes long-term stress on the catalytic converter. I have seen brand new cars trigger catalyst efficiency codes after running Speedway fuel high in sulfur. That is a $1,500 part ruined because the gas was not refined properly. Number 4 is Love's Travel Stops. Truckers love Love's, but big diesel rigs have massive filtration systems that your sedan does not have. The gasoline side is often neglected. We see microbial growth issues here. Yes, bacteria can grow in fuel tanks when moisture is present. It creates a sludge that looks like green jello. A family on a road trip filled their minivan at a Love's in Arkansas and made it 73 miles before the van died on the interstate. The fuel filter was completely blocked with biological slime. We had to drop the tank and steam clean it. It cost them their vacation and $2,300. Number 3 is the new Amoco. This breaks my heart because Amoco used to be the gold standard. The Amoco Ultimate Formula was legendary, but that company is gone. BP bought the name, and now standard Amoco stations often sell rebranded generic fuel with weak detergent levels. I had a 2019 Malibu come in from an owner who drove specifically to Amoco thinking he was buying heritage quality. At 61,000 miles, the car ran like a tractor. The intake valves had deposits so thick you could not see the metal stem. He was paying for a ghost. Number 2 is Pilot Flying J. And if you know the history, you know why you should be skeptical. This company was at the center of a massive FBI investigation for rebate fraud. If they were willing to cheat their biggest trucking clients out of millions of dollars, what does that tell you about their commitment to quality? We see constant reports of particulate matter in pilot gas. It is dirty. It clogs injectors. A guy with a $60,000 Cummins diesel filled up exclusively at Pilot. His injectors were scored and leaked fuel into the cylinders, which washed away the oil and destroyed the piston rings. $8,700 in damage because he trusted a truck stop. Number 1 is Sunoco regular grade, and this is the biggest deception in the industry. You see the NASCAR sponsorship. You think if it powers race cars at 200 miles per hour, it must be good. But the race fuel on the track is a custom high-octane formula that costs a fortune. The regular 87 octane at the pump is often a bottom-tier product. Sunoco's regular grade has repeatedly appeared in mechanics forums as a cause of super knock or LSPI, where fuel ignites prematurely due to carbon hotspots. It sounds like marbles in a tin can and can crack a piston in seconds. I have seen more engines destroyed by Sunoco regularly than almost any other major brand. Fuel laundering. Everything I've told you so far, the low detergents, the dirty tanks, the inconsistent blending, all of that is amateur hour compared to what I am about to reveal. This is not negligence. This is not corner cutting. This is criminal activity that belongs in a federal courtroom, and it is happening right now at gas stations you have probably driven past 1,000 times. There is a shadow industry operating beneath the surface of legitimate fuel distribution. It goes by different names. Transmix, reclaimed fuel, blended product. But what it really is, what nobody wants to talk about publicly, is poison being sold as gasoline. And the people behind it are making fortunes while your engine pays the price. Here is how the scheme works. Imagine you run an industrial operation that produces hazardous waste, used motor oil contaminated with heavy metals, spent industrial solvents from manufacturing plants, dry cleaning chemicals that are toxic enough to require special disposal, refinery sludge that nobody wants to touch. Now, Disposing of this material legally is expensive. You have to hire certified hazardous waste companies. You have to follow EPA protocols.
Catalytic fabric filter to remove particles. According to the EPA, these incinerators tend to generate slightly more greenhouse gas.
You have to pay thousands of dollars just to make the problem go away. But what if you could make that problem disappear and get paid for it at the same time? That is exactly what some distributors figured out. They take this hazardous waste, run it through basic filtration to remove the most obvious contaminants, and then blend it into gasoline at ratios of 5, 10, sometimes 15%. The tanker truck pulls up to an independent gas station, offloads the fuel, and suddenly that toxic waste is not a liability anymore. It is an inventory. It is profit. And it is sitting in an underground tank waiting for you to pump it into your car. The economics are almost too perfect for criminals to resist. Instead of paying disposal fees, they are collecting revenue. Every gallon of waste they blend in is pure margin. Multiply that across thousands of gallons, dozens of stations, and you are looking at millions of dollars generated from literally burning trash in unsuspecting customers' engines. But your engine was never designed to burn dry cleaning fluid. It cannot process hydraulic oil or industrial solvent residue. These chemicals burn hotter and dirtier than anything that should ever enter a combustion chamber. They melt catalytic converters from the inside out. They destroy oxygen sensors within miles. They corrode aluminum head gaskets and eat through rubber seals like acid. And the damage happens fast. We are not talking about gradual wear over years. We are talking about catastrophic failure within days or even hours. I saw the aftermath of this firsthand, and it still haunts me. A family pulled into a no-name station on a road trip. The price was suspiciously low, maybe 25 cents cheaper than anywhere else in town. They thought they found a deal. They filled up and drove away happy, thinking they had saved a few bucks. They made it exactly 31 miles. The engine did not just stop, it did not sputter or hesitate or throw a warning light. It seized completely. Metal bonded to metal. Pistons welded themselves to cylinder walls. When the tow truck brought it to my shop and we drained the fuel tank, the smell hit us before we even got the cap off. It was paint thinner mixed with burning rubber mixed with something chemical and wrong. That fuel had dissolved the oil film protecting the cylinder walls. Without that microscopic layer of lubrication, the intense heat and friction fused everything together. The engine was not broken. It was destroyed, completely unrecoverable, total loss. The repair estimate was not a repair estimate. It was a replacement quote. $7,000 for a new engine because some distributor wanted to save money on waste disposal and decided this family's car was an acceptable place to dump it. And here is what keeps me up at night. There is no way to know for sure until it is too late. The fuel looks normal. The pump works normally. The receipt looks like every other receipt. Unless you take a sample to a laboratory and pay for chemical analysis, you will never know what you actually put in your tank. You just know something feels wrong. The car runs rough. The power is gone. And by then, the damage is already done. If you ever pull up to a station and the price is dramatically lower than everywhere else in town, ask yourself one question. Is this a deal or is this a disposal site? Because in the shadowy world of unbranded fuel, there is no sheriff. There is no protection. There is only you and a nozzle and a choice that could cost you everything. Top-tier titans. After everything I have shown you, the deception, the contamination, the criminal schemes destroying engines across America, you might be wondering if there is anyone left to trust. The answer is yes. Not every company is out to wreck your car. Investing in chemistry and quality control and standards that go far beyond what the law requires. These are the brands I put in my own truck. The truck that hit 400,000 miles on the original engine. You do not achieve that through luck. You achieve it by feeding your engine fuel that cleans while it burns. Chevron sits at the top for a reason.
What kind of policies can you name that actually have changed the game for Chevron and for the oil industry?
Their Techron additive is not some marketing gimmick cooked up by an advertising agency. It is a patented polyethyramine formula developed by actual scientists who understand what happens inside a combustion chamber at the molecular level. Techron attacks carbon bonds directly, scrubbing deposits off metal surfaces with every mile you drive. I have torn down engines with 150,000 miles that ran exclusively on Chevron. The intake valves looked like they were installed last week. No buildup, no ridges, just clean, smooth metal allowing perfect airflow. Chevron was actually the first company to launch top-tier certification because they saw the GDI problem coming years before anyone else and built the solution. They treat fuel like a science experiment, not a commodity, and your engine benefits every single time you fill up. Shell takes a completely different approach that is equally impressive. Their nitrogen-enriched cleaning system does not just remove existing deposits. It leaves behind a microscopic protective barrier that prevents new contamination from forming. Think of it as a non-stick coating for your engine internals. I had a customer with a Lexus ES350, a model notorious for carbon buildup issues, who ran strictly Shell for 195,000 miles. When we scoped the cylinders expecting the worst, they were spotless. Compression readings matched factory specifications perfectly. Shell also partners with Ferrari for Formula One development. If their fuel can survive inside an engine screaming at 15,000 RPM under race conditions, it can absolutely handle your morning commute. Exxon earns its place through relentless consistency. They hold more patents on fuel technology than almost any other company, and their Synergy formula delivers total engine protection across all 3 grades. This is critical. You do not have to buy a premium to get the good detergents. They put the full additive package in regular unleaded. I worked on a Toyota Tundra with 340,000 miles that drank nothing but Exxon regular its entire life. When we pulled the valve covers for a timing belt job, the inside of that engine was golden. No black sludge, no varnish. Just evidence of clean, healthy combustion for over 3 decades of driving. Costco is the sleeper hit that surprises everyone. The place where you buy bulk toilet paper sells some of the cleanest fuel in America. Their gas is top-tier certified, and independent laboratory testing has found they often use 5 times the required detergent concentration. But the real secret is turnover. Costco moves so much volume that fuel never sits in their underground tanks longer than 48 hours. It is always fresh. Their filter maintenance program is obsessive, changing components long before problems develop. You get premium quality at discount prices. Finally, BP Ultimate. Their Invigorate additive can actually reverse existing engine damage. I have watched rough-running, misfiring engines transform after just 3 tanks. A friend with a turbocharged Subaru thought his motor was finished. Knocking, pulling timing, running terribly. 3 tanks of BP Ultimate later, the knock vanished completely. Not magic. Just chemistry doing exactly what it was designed to do. Choose wisely. Your engine is listening. The truth is no longer hidden. It's just ignored. As our cars age and the margins for abuse disappear, every decision at the pump carries consequences most drivers will never see until it's too late. The damage doesn't announce itself. It builds quietly, mile after mile, deposit after deposit, until one day the engine gives up, and the blame goes everywhere except where it belongs. This isn't about fear. It's about awareness in a system that depends on you not asking questions. Because once you understand what's really happening under the hood, the problem stops being mechanical and starts being intentional. And the real question is this: now that you know where the damage begins, who benefits if nothing ever changes?